following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing. Following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Giraffes are one of the most iconic and easily recognizable mammal species in Africa. They are the world's tallest mammals and are uniquely adapted to rich vegetation inaccessible to other herbivores. Historically, giraffes roamed throughout most parts of Kenya, and they played an important cultural role in indigenous communities. Apart from their meat for sustenance, their hides and tails were prized for their strong leather and used as bridal gifts. Rapid expansion of the human population and the consequent changes in land use practice has severely fragmented the habitat and range of giraffes in Kenya. The Giraffe Center plays a pivotal role in conserving the critically endangered Rothschild giraffe. And what better place to go to learn about the giraffe species in Kenya? We met with Judith Sembe at the Giraffe Center, who started off by giving us a tour of the facility while telling us about the history of the center.
Yeah, so Giraffe Center started in 1979. It was started by a couple, American but Kenyans. The man, Joe Leslie, and his wife, Betty Leslie. So they used to live here, but they had friends in Western Kenya. They realized that this particular subspecies, the Rothschild giraffes in Western Kenya, were facing threat because their habitat was taken over by humans for settlement. They decided to save them. Yeah, the game department. Today, the Kenya Wildlife Service, they were able to move 130 remaining giraffes from Western Kenya into safer areas within the country. A big population was moved into Lake Nakuru National Park and also Ruma Game Reserve. Some were introduced into Mwea, so Sambu Conservancy, even in the north, in the Nasalot Game Reserve, the south in the Hala Park. They were able to be given a license, government, to have the breeding program. That's where we have the Giraffe Center today. So yeah, so we have the ticketed giraffes in the north of Kenya. We have the Rothschild giraffes, mainly in the Rift Valley, and then we have the Maasai giraffes, southern part of the country.
Until recently, giraffes were classified as one species with 9 subspecies occurring in 21 countries in Africa. However, recent research shows that there are indeed 4 distinct species of giraffe. 3 of these species occur in Kenya. Reticulated giraffes roam northern and eastern Kenya. Maasai giraffes inhabit the savanna and woodlands of southern Kenya, and Rothschild giraffes have been introduced to several natural and new fragmented areas in western and central Kenya. However, there has been an almost 40% decline in the giraffe population in the country over the past 3 decades.
This is a second TV screen, just to show like the kind of organizations that we've been able to support. Because from the money that we raise here, we are able to donate to other conservation organizations taking care of the endangered species of ecosystems. So this is a second TV, the success stories of some of the endangered species we've been able to conserve through supporting organizations. For a long time, people have been thinking giraffe is giraffe. To create that awareness, here in the Giraffe Center, we have the different subspecies.
But how can one differentiate the species?
The differentiation is with the patterns. So starting with the rostral giraffes, their patterns are a little bit defined, more than the Maasai giraffes. Maasai giraffes have the most, they have the most irregular patterns. The rostral giraffes are a little bit more defined, but it's easy to identify the rostral giraffes with their white legs. From the knee to the hooves is white in color. And then finally for the reticulated giraffes are the most defined patterns. They have the big regular patterns, and they don't have the dark patches. So generally for the three species, the Maasai giraffes are taller. And also because of the habitat, you see like the reticulated being found in northern Kenya, like Samburu, Marsabit, that is a dry land. So also vegetation there doesn't grow very tall. And then the Maasai giraffes found in Masai Mara, Amboseli Savo, taller, and also the rostral giraffes are tall. So for the males, another differentiation is that as they grow old, they become darker for camouflage into the bush to take care of the females. Like if they camouflage well in the bush, they can hide, and if a lion is coming, they can take care of the herd. Differentiation of the male from the females is the horn. You find that the tip of the horn for the male loses hair as they grow old. For the female is normally covered with the tuft of hair throughout their life. And the men lose that hair through necking, because they keep on necking to fight for dominance in the wilderness. Usually it's one herd. In the one herd you get several females and just one male. So that's how you can differentiate the males from the females. Then for the rostral giraffe, this is particular for the rostral giraffes. The males have what we call 5 horns, but basically it's 2 developed horns and 3 bumps, 1 in front and 2 behind the horns. Females have 2 well-developed horns and the 1 bump in front of the horn. This is a learning center whereby after using the 2 TVs and also feeding the giraffes, if you want more information, visitors are allowed to go inside to read about now everything that I'm talking about. Their natural habitat is mainly wooded grassland habitat. They don't like in the forest, the tall animals. They have to penetrate looking for vegetation, so the trees get to block them a lot. So they like mainly a grassland habitat with a little bit of trees, which we call a wooded grassland habitat. Basically, where they're all found, that is the kind of habitat you will find. This is a female. Females we have here. She's called Kelly. This is pellets that we give to the tourists, to the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse. So the white one is more of cereal pellets. It has more cereals and a little bit of grass and molasses. But the green one has more of the alfalfa grass, which is more healthier for the giraffes. We mix them because when you give them only the green one, they never like, because it doesn't have the molasses, the sugars. Is not very sweet like the white one. But we want them to eat a lot of the green ones. Baby giraffe at birth is about 2 meters and about 60 to 80 kilos in weight. Here we have calves. We have 5 of them, so you can see them. So giraffes can live up to 20 years in the wild and about 30 years in captivity. So in captivity, life is good. They fall sick, they can be identified easily and be treated. And also you find that in the wilderness they're facing challenges, drought. So like here, when it's very dry, we supplement their diet with the lucerne grass, and also this which keeps on giving them the nutrients. That's why in captivity they would live longer than in the wild. And of course we don't have the enemies in captivity like the lions. So giraffes, number one challenge they're facing is the habitat destruction. Humans are moving into their habitats and turning into farmlands. Because they're big mammals, they need a lot of food. So when we shrink their habitat, you find that they don't feed enough and they starve to death. And then secondly, poaching also is still a challenge to the giraffes in some areas. They are being poached for their meat and their skin. When we have the long drought spell, we find that also it affects the giraffes. Get to lose some of them. Also the floods, those are the effects of climate change which are affecting the giraffes. And then to some extent, the giraffes, and especially in the wilderness, we find that there could be a disease that would come and wipe out some population of giraffes out there in the wilderness.
We'll be back right after this break.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Not what you wanted, you don't even know my man. Remember, be good to the people on your way out the ladder.
Transforming. Benefits. Slaty. Kenya. Buy now on Jumia or Amazon.
Welcome back. Before the break, Judith Sembe, a conservation program officer at the Giraffe Center, gave us a tour of the facility while telling us a little bit about the history of the center and the different species of giraffes that exist in Kenya. Now, we'll finish up on the tour and get to learn more about the species at the Giraffe Learning Center.
We have this, the lower jaw of the giraffe. You can see they have a long tongue, and then in the lower jaw they have the lower teeth, the incisors, and then the back teeth, the molars and the premolars. They don't have teeth at the top of the upper jaw, but they have this because they're ruminants. It's in all the ruminants. So for the first feeding, they swallow direct. Then when they're resting, they chew cud. They regurgitate it back. They are all sear and chewy and then swallow, going into the second, the third, and the fourth stomach to complete digestion. So they have the 4 stomachs. So in the upper jaw, mainly the back teeth, no front teeth in the upper jaw. They mainly use their tongues to pluck the leaves from the trees. They are long and heavy, and also they can be able to coil. The reason why it coils is because, majorly giraffes like the thorn tree, the acacias. So the acacias have spikes. So the tongue struggles to get the leaves in between the thorns. But again, in that process, the thorns break the tongue, and that's why they have antiseptic saliva. So giraffe saliva is also antiseptic. So in a day, they feed a lot. They can feed between 35 to 60 kilos of leaves. The young ones, the calves, will feed less. Also depends on the age, and the sex of the giraffe, because the male also feed more than the female. Then we have this, the vertebra bones along the neck of the giraffe. Yes, and they have 7, like for us humans. But for giraffes, they're long ones. Then so you can now see the patterns of reticulated, very much more defined. Then the Maasai giraffes have the most undefined patterns, star-shaped, and also go all the way up to the hooves. And then the Rothschild, their patterns stop at the knees. Down is white in color. And then we have this, it's a heavy bone. So this is the radius and ulna of the giraffe, the front limbs fused together. And it's heavy, that's why they have powerful kicks. They are kicks which can kill lions. The chart shows the current giraffes at the center, all the way from Betty to Karisa. So like I told you, it's a breeding program. The calves, like from number 6, will be reintroduced into the wilderness, but we have the top ones which are breeding. So number 4, Eddie, is the dominant bull. So even in the wilderness, it's always one bull to several calves, several females.
In the Learning Center, tourists can also learn about the population distribution of giraffes in the country. The yellow dots represent the Rothschild giraffe species. The red represents the reticulated giraffe species. And the green represents the Maasai giraffe species.
So the map shows the distribution of the giraffes. Originally, like for the Rothschild giraffes, they used to be here, the western part of the country, but now they were taken over to safe areas. In western Kenya. But today you get them like here in Nasalot, in the Lake Nakuru. We're here in the Giraffe Center in the Hala Park in the south. in the Moya Reserve in central Kenya. And we also have conservancies here in the Rift Valley, like the Soisambu Conservancy, Kigio, where they are found. And then for the reticulated, they are found above the equator, all the way above from Meru in these parks and reserve in the northern Kenya, Samburu, Losai, Marsabit, Meru. And then for the Maasai giraffes are found in the southern part. From here, Nairobi National Park, to Masai Mara, Amboseli, and Tsavo. And then also maybe also just to mention, the Maasai giraffe is also the same giraffe in Tanzania. Like Serengeti is bordering Masai Mara here, and then the Austral giraffe is the same giraffe in Uganda.
Giraffes are vital to keeping ecosystems in balance. They eat the browse that others cannot reach, which promotes growth of forage and opens up areas for themselves and other smaller browsers to make use of. Importantly, this means that by protecting Africa's giraffes, we are protecting other species too.
The things we are doing to take care of the giraffes is number one, breeding, rostral giraffes. It is a breeding program, so we always have one male and about 5 females who breed naturally. Sanctuary is divided into 2. We have this small side and across the road. That other side is still the sanctuary for the giraffes. Every evening they'll cross the road, then in the morning they come back this side. So we are breeding the calves when they're 3 years old. We take them into the wilderness, and then we allow the male and the females to keep breeding. And then secondly, it's carrying out conservation education programs to the youth and communities within Kenya, especially in the rostral giraffes conservation areas. We are trying to train the communities on how they can coexist in harmony with the giraffes and the habitat generally. And that we do through several programs that we have. Like number one, we allow all Kenyan school children to come in for free. We have that program so that we can receive as many children as possible. They get to learn about the environment and conservation of the giraffes. Secondly, we train teachers throughout the country on how they can be able to teach the learners to conserve the environment. And then thirdly, we also support research activities of the giraffes and the rostral giraffes in the country. So we work with the other organizations like the Kenya Wildlife Service and the Giraffe Conservation Foundation to support their work either through research or the different programs they're doing with the giraffes. We also have a national environment competition program which we target all the Kenyan students get to carry out the competition in form of artwork and essays. And then we award them during the World Environment Day around the first week of June, winners of the competition. So all this is just to create awareness of environment conservation. Basically, giraffes are part of the environment. Because if we just talk only about giraffe, creating awareness on giraffe, we are not doing it holistically. Because the giraffes live in the forest, they also need water, they also need humans to take care of them. So our approach to the environment is through the sustainability model of the biophysical, the economic, and so in the breeding program, we take in more giraffes. For example, if we lose the breeding ones, if we lose, we get a replacement from the wilderness, and that we collaborate with the Kenya Wildlife Service so that we can get a replacement to be able to come here and continue breeding. And then for all the calves that are born here, we take them into the wilderness. Our carrying capacity is about 15 mature giraffes. But like at the moment, we have they are all just 11, but we have the calves, and the calves are not utilized in the same extent. So the call of action is to join in the conservation of the environment. We need to plant as many trees as possible so that we can have a lot of rain, so that giraffes don't die because of drought. We can be able to work with us in the different activities or in the different programs that we are doing, and also follow us on social media, be able to share our updates so that the world can be able to get information about giraffe conservation. People can support us through donations. That is what we use for environment conservation, mainly in the conservation education program.
That's it for today's episode